Ezoa, just because they lost so much momentum there with Ezoa a little bit loose on the entry to the corner, just trying to get that bike stopped.
Thompson gets around Danish now for second position. Ezoa's been bumped back to fourth place. Every corner, one to the next, they're willing to trade places, but turn 10 in particular looks like it's going to be vital on the final lap.
Yeah, turn 10 for the number 21 of Ezoa, that's his key overtaking opportunity, and for Hakim Danish, it's the run down in towards turn 1. And that's where he's been able to use the slipstream down the start-finish straight. Carter Thompson, though, he's been able to make a lot of moves pretty much everywhere around this track. It's just about trying to stay in front of the riders behind him.
Into the final lap now for Veda Pratama, the pole sitter and race leader throughout. You don't always see that in the Asia Talent Cup. He's been able to break away 6.6 seconds clear. It's going to be a big winning margin. Dramas, by the looks of it, further down the order, and that will be right towards the back of the field. So that's Putra and Swain, I think, who were scrapping outside of the point, 16th and 17th places. They're going to be our first two retirements. It's not been generally a race of attrition in race one of this Indonesian round. It is Veda Pratama who leads us back into second place now. Hakim Danish, Ezoa relegated to fourth.
Yeah, Ezoa down into turn 10, that's where he's been able to make that double move on quite a few occasions. He's going to have the run down into 10 to make that once again, but is he going to be brave enough to try and pick off both riders? He knows that for his championship standings, he has to get through on Danish, who's out in front of the screen.
Elbows out, I'm sure, in towards turn 10, one of the best remaining overtaking opportunities. He tries to slot alongside Carter Thompson, but can't quite get there. Danish remains at the head of this three-rider group in pursuit of those podium places. Thompson's run wide and onto the green paint. That could be vital in the post-race analysis. Ezoa comes through on Thompson for third position, and now it's a head-to-head between the two championship rivals. Hakim Danish, our current series leader, sits up in second place. Shinya Ezoa, second in the standings, desperate to reverse what could be a major point swing here on the final lap. They make their way through the final sector. It's Danish defending the position. Ezoa, though, has the inside line. That's the place to be through these long right-handers, turns 15 and 16. Thompson trying to go the long way round. They're three abreast. Danish cuts back to the inside, catches Ezoa by surprise. Ezoa has to stand it up and back out of it. Big moments as he tries to get back on the racing line. The two championship rivals touch. Veda Pratama comes over the line to win his home round in Indonesia. Race one goes to Veda Pratama. Second over the line to Carter Thompson. And the two championship rivals cross absolutely level, but it's Hakim Danish who's given it on the timing ahead of Shinya Ezoa, and that will mean, barring any post-race penalties, potentially for Carter Thompson, as things stand at the moment, we're looking at a 6-point margin between Hakim Danish and Shinya Ezoa coming into race 2 tomorrow afternoon.
Yeah, you wouldn't be too surprised if there is a penalty for Thompson for running out onto the green paint at the exit of turn 10, and that would only extend the lead for Hakim Danish by another point as well. So certainly for our race winner, though, Pertama, such an impressive performance. It was eventually an 8-second margin, and then he was able to tame this win by.
And that's why I was talking about a potential major swing between Danish and Ezoa, because if it had been the other way around and Ezoa moved up into second position and Danish in fourth, we'd be talking about a different championship leader going into race 2 tomorrow. The Indonesian fans celebrating with Veda Pratama, your race winner, and a good opportunity for the Indonesian flag to be shown as well.
It's quite the makeshift Indonesian flag there, I think, from the marshals, but
it's a good effort.
It's a solid effort from them, and really impressive from Pertama. We saw him win earlier in the season in Buriram, and he's been able to notch up now 5 podiums as well this season, 2 wins and 3 other podiums, and that's very impressive for the youngest rider in the field. It means that a lot of team managers are going to be keeping an eye on him as well, and certainly you'd be excited to see what his prospects will be like if and when he gets to race in Europe and the IATC as well.
Really unfortunate for Veda Pratama that we didn't get to see him complete the weekend of the Indonesian Grand Prix earlier on this season, because that's a 4th podium in 5 races for him, and you would suggest that if he'd had the points from round number 2, at the very least he'd be in the top 3 now, if not potentially still a championship contender.
Yeah, exactly, and it's been such a solid season, but a lot of the times in the ATC it's all well and good to win the championship, and that's obviously the target for everyone, but so many times it's the riders that are 2nd, 3rd, 4th in the standings that actually go on to have a big impact as well, and this is about the high points that you have during the course of the season. How many wins do you have? Your wheel-to-wheel, bar-to-bar battles, how many of them do you win? And that's what a lot of people take notice of, and Pertama's been able to pick up 2 wins as a 13-year-old, and with the increasing age limits as well, that means that he's going to be on Talent Cup bikes for the next couple of seasons, so that's where he then needs to keep building that forward.
Roswanto eventually coming home in 6th position. Gunmia getting through to the front of that secondary group ahead of Fetasan in 7th. But that's not enough for Gunmia to keep his championship hopes alive. He drops 40 points back now from Hakim Danish. Needed to beat Danish in that race, of course, and narrow the gap to less than 25. So at 40 points, Gunmia is now out of the running. He's got to defend 3rd overall tomorrow against today's race winner, Veda Pratama, who's now closed that gap to just 11 points between 3rd and 4th in the standings. Close from 5th position down as well. But in terms of that championship duel, pending official confirmation, as things stand, we will be looking at a 6-point margin in favour of Hakim Danish ahead of Shinya Ezawa.
Yeah, and you can see for Carter Thompson making his way into Park Ferme in 2nd spot. So we'll wait and get official confirmation, like you said, Alex. But maybe the decision will be that he lost ground coming out of turn 10 and then was able to recover from that. And he'll be able to hold on to that 2nd spot and those all-important 20 points for him. He's moved up to 5th in the championship standings. For Pertama as well, though, he's in a bit of a battle now for 3rd in the standings with Gunmia as well.
Yes, Gunmia on 127 points and Veda Pratama now on 116 after his race victory. The problem for Gunmia this season has been the lack of race wins. He's had plenty of podiums during his Asia Talent Cup spell, and no shortage of podiums in recent rounds either. 2 in Thailand and 1 in race 1 in Sepang. And this weekend he misses out in 5th position in race 1. He'll be back to have another go for those podium places tomorrow afternoon. That's a race that could easily have turned out very differently, just the way the field fractured in those early laps. Yeah, and that can happen around a track like this where the slipstream isn't as important as in some of the other tracks that we visit with the IATC calendar, and it's all about maintaining that momentum. That's what we saw Pertama able to do. He was always able to keep edging out that bit of a lead. Once he was able to open up a half a second, it became a second, and then 2 seconds very quickly, and then from that point on it ended up being an 8-second margin at the flag. Yes, case in point being Sepang with those nice long straights and hairpins. That works nicely for a big group in the Asia Talent Cup, but here in Indonesia it's a tight and twisty circuit with some high-speed corner entries as well. Good that there's a variety of circuits for the riders to visit over the course of their season.
Yeah, exactly. At Sepang you've got 2 1-kilometre long straights, and here it's 500 metres for the start-finish straight basically. So it isn't about the slipstream battle, it's about your racecraft and being able to scrap with each other without costing yourself time. And the second group, they did cost themselves a lot of time in this race.
Oh, we're going to see the action in the closing stages, and this will be Carter Thompson running wide, perhaps?
Well, for Carter, because he's 4th coming into this, he hasn't gained an advantage from running off track limits earlier in the final lap, and then he's just in a position just to be able to take advantage of the other 2 riders having their mistakes as well, because they've ran in a bit too hot. For Hakim Danish in the number 13, he was very lucky to hold that one on, and that was the difference between finishing 3rd and picking up 13 points and picking it up off the deck.
And Ezawa even catching the protector in the rear of Danish's bike as he tries to come across the line alongside him. I think he was trying to pick up the slipstream but also make the pass and sort of misjudged it in the run to line. It was messy in that 2nd position scrap. That's why Veda Pratama was able to get away from them.
Yeah, and we did see that for quite a few laps at the end on the run down in towards turn 10, for instance, whenever you've got Ezawa making that double move and then everyone else having to shuffle for positions. It just did cost them quite a bit of time, but it's also about making sure that you're able to win those battles. Carter Thompson was able to come out on top in that scrap.
And Carter Thompson taking 2nd position ahead of Hakim Danish. And Danish with that 3rd place able to extend his advantage, well, double his advantage from 3 points to 6. It's still a slender margin in Asia Talent Cup. We've seen it before. Big points can be won and lost in fairly straightforward fashion.
Yeah, exactly. And a 6-point advantage in the championship really is nothing, and you'd expect these guys to all be at the front in tomorrow's race, but Gunmia is going to be there as well, and a few other riders could well get themselves into the mix as well.
Well, a win for Shinya Ezawa does 5 of those 6 points, and then it's just about what happens behind him, so that will be the target obviously for race 2 tomorrow afternoon. Race where we got 18 riders over the line, so again full credit to all of these youngsters over the course of this weekend. There's not been too many incidents, as we mentioned previously during that race. Just that late incident for Putra and Swain, who were the only 2 retirements, 18 across the line. So race 1 comes to its conclusion, and we have an opportunity to take